Okay. Why Insurgency Sandstorm is such a wasted potential? With over 80 hours on the original game and around 100 hours on the latest game, I have some experience with the Insurgency franchise. The first game, Insurgency, was originally a mod for the game Half-Life, and then it was converted to a game. Released in 2007, the game was ahead of its time, and I'd say it would still compete with modern shooter games gameplay wise. New World Interactive, the company behind the game, created another game in 2018 called Insurgency Sandstorm, and they did this with better engine, more money, and more experience. Everything had an update in the creation of the second game of the franchise, but it failed miserably. Why, you ask? Because two main reasons. These are technical issues and gameplay issues. I'm gonna talk about these problems, but I'm not just gonna shit on the game and call it trash. I'm also gonna talk about how the game could have been better and explain what they did well. First issue, performance. They created the game on a more recent engine, so you would think that the game ran way smoothly without any FPS problems and freezes, right? Wrong. When the game came out, I had one of the better graphics cards in the market, and my PC overall would be considered to be on the better side, but I still could not play the game on even medium graphics. I had to play on low graphics, and even when something challenging for the computer happened, my frames dropped. In order to make a game that is popular, you have to make good optimization in the game so it works on most computers smoothly. They lost most of the players in this problem. Technical issues are not only optimization. The game had many minor bugs, like dead bodies would shake violently, and some weapon issues were in the game. Also, as you can see in these photos, one guy is half invisible, and some weird body proportions are in the other photo. So, um, well, they slowly fixed the little bugs, and the optimization got way better. But the thing in the game industry is when you fail in the launch of the game, even if you fix your game a couple of months later, the game will not gain popularity for some reason. So even if they fix the game completely, they won't get the attention they deserve. And also in these photos, you can see that um, these dead bodies, clip to places and disobey the laws of physics. The second issue, gameplay. This is more important and easy to fix in my opinion. Insurgent Sandstorm tries to replicate a modern battlefield between American forces and local forces, also known as the insurgents. The game is realistic in case of mechanics. For example, you can die in one or two shots, which most modern shooters do not have. But the thing is, the core multiplayer gameplay has no tactical sides whatsoever. Everyone starts trying to get kills at the beginning of the match, and there's total chaos in the map. People just play the game as if it's an arcade game. This completely destroys the immersion and makes the game more normal. Modern shooter games tend to be very arcadey, and there are like two or three realistic shooters. Insurgency Sandstorm could have been a bridge for arcade shooter players to try out realistic shooters, but people play it like an arcade game. It's not meant to be played like that. It's not completely New World Interactive's fault because it's the players that are playing it like that. But there are still things that could be done to prevent this, which I will be talking about later. Okay, enough with the bad sides. Now let me talk about the good sides of the game. If I would recommend the game to a friend, it would be because of the co-op mode where players play against computer controlled characters. So one side is real people and other side is computer. I have almost never played multiplayer since I discovered this mode. People actually try to be tactical and act like how real soldiers would. They do not rush to get kills, and the main reason behind this that they would die in an instant if they played like that. The bots on the enemy team also play tactically, so the player team is forced to play in this playstyle. If they rush and do something stupid, they get put down immediately. This mod really makes the player feel like they're in a Middle Eastern battlefield. Of course, this is not only the good thing about the game. The sound design is superb and really immerses the player. The weapons feel metallic and satisfying. This is gonna sound weird, but getting a kill feels really good and very important in shooter games. Most games put an X on the crosshair or write something like eliminated this person, the X person, but in Insurgent Sandstorm, the only way to understand when you get a kill is when blood spurts out the artery of the guy you shoot. The game expects you to understand when you get a kill and doesn't show it directly, which adds to the realism. But the best thing about the game, in my opinion, is the shooting system they have. In almost every shooter game, except the Insurgency franchise, when you shoot without aiming, the bullet lands on a random place in the middle of your screen. So where you point your gun doesn't matter, it just lands randomly in the middle of your screen somewhere. In Insurgency, however, the bullet comes out of the barrel barrel of your weapon and travels directly in front of you, so you can easily shoot people without aiming, and your bullets would go where you point your gun at, instead of some random place. So let's come to the last subject, what they could have done better. As I talked in the gameplay problems, the main reason multiplayer mode is not what it's supposed to be are the players. The players play the game as if it's an arcade game. How do you prevent this, you ask? We force them to play tactically by making the game punishing players that are playing arcade. They could add more loud footstep sounds for rushing players, so a rushing player would be heard from a distance and would give the other players time to react and when the rusher comes in. This small change would make the rushing players die and die again until they get bored of dying and start to play like how it was intended. This would solve most and every problem. I'd say like every problem, yeah. Um, because if they rush, they will lose every match, which will force them to play more tactical. Yeah, and this is basically it.